Okay, hello and welcome to the Sales Transformation Podcast. A special episode today, isn't it, Phil?
It is.
This episode is our 200th episode.
I know.
Quite a milestone, I'd say.
Is. Yeah.
First off, Phil, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. And secondly, how does it feel to have reached 200 episodes?
200. Well, I think it's a fantastic milestone, actually. I think when we set out, we definitely saw it as a long-term sort of strategy, a way of disseminating information to the greater we, if you like, as we refer to it. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled we've got here.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting journey.
It has been. It has been. I think our research team has handed me this note where apparently, according to a company called Podmatch, only 2.66% of podcasts reach 200 episodes, and over half don't even reach 10. So I think that says a lot about our commitment to the podcast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it is amazing.
Good. So I guess looking back, a lot of companies decide to start podcasts, and I still remember when I tried to pitch the idea to you around creating a podcast. I know why I wanted to start the podcast, but what about starting a podcast was so interesting to you?
Well, I think that if you go back to when the podcast was started, which is October 2020, we were still in the throes of the pandemic.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that there was, sort of sense that we're moving much more to a digital kind of environment, because we had to very quickly consider other means of getting our sort of messages out, whether it's training content or just helping to promote our thoughts and ideas about the world of sales. And I think the way that consumers consume information, because we have the Journal of Sales Transformation that we'd started way back in the early days. But I think, a lot of people find it more convenient to listen to podcasts rather than sort of pick up a catalog or subscribe to a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was something that I was totally in alignment with, and there were one or two clients that we had also that said, Phil, what you should do is a podcast as well. So it's nothing like clients to also encourage you on a particular journey.
Yes.
And I remember, I think it was Samantha Vessels who told me, said, Phil, what you should do is do podcasts. So I listen to podcasts every time I'm in my car driving to the office and I can't hear what Consalia has to say at the moment. Mm-hmm. So yeah, in a way, it's a combination of things that made us want to do it.
Of course. I mean,
what about for you?
Well, 2020, what a weird time, wasn't it?
It was weird.
And I obviously started at Consalia around April of that year. And obviously going into lockdown, I'm now then tasked with coming up with a marketing strategy around where you're not allowed to go to events. Yeah. Everything's digital. But I think I noticed it in my own sort of personal life where I guess like Samantha, I was listening to podcasts a lot more, and maybe that's because of the time.
Yeah.
I was consuming a lot more content because I had more free time, walking the dog and just staying indoors. But it's like what you said. I saw the podcast as a kind of platform for us to essentially distribute our thought leadership, our perspectives on the world of sales, because it's no surprise that we have a very interesting perspective on the world of sales and the world of selling, and in particular values-based selling. Yeah. And I thought, how cool would it be to get Phil on a podcast? And I'll talk about it in a second for my next question, but that was kind of like the crux of why I pitched the thought of a podcast to you in the first place. And actually, that's the first time I heard that Samantha Vessels was also
she was an influence. So yeah, she was definitely an influence. So But I reckon I was fairly easy to convince. It would be a good thing to do. I wasn't
Yes, very
giving you
easy.
I wasn't giving you any pushback in that particular. Okay, good.
No, of course. I was so happy that you said yes for the first time.
Yeah.
So that was an early win for me.
Great.
Do you have any interesting memories from the early days of podcasting at all?
Well, I think that in order to sort of get us going, we needed to get or wanted to get people invited to the podcast who could be considered thought leaders or could provide some sort of thought-provoking perspectives. And we aimed quite high, I think, with the people that we invited. So at a very early stage, we're in the pandemic. There was a critical problem that we needed to address, which is this whole topic of resilience. There was a lot of conversations about mental health at the time as well. But kind of those early podcasts with Graham Lamb, Baz Gray, and also Carol Pemberton,
Yes.
I think were brilliant.
Resilience Trilogy.
Because of the resilience. Yeah. And it's as appropriate today, I would say,
Of course. Yeah.
as it was then, because my goodness, business has gone through since then so many different challenges and so on. But
Yeah.
no, I think it was the excitement of getting it launched, getting some really high profile people to come and join us. So it's not just distributing our thought leadership, but it's also distributing anyone's thought leadership. So providing a platform, whether it's for our master's students who've done some really interesting pieces of research, or whether it's our research that we've done that we could talk about. For me, it's a platform for giving people who've got great ideas a chance to share them with the world, and not necessarily go for the if in inverted commas sort of gurus out there, but it's the practitioner based insights that so many of our podcasts have, I think, is what makes the Sales Transformation podcast series that we've run so special.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the interviews that I've listened to, they are a lot different to some of the sales podcasts out there. I think the ones I've come across are obviously kind of more online of kind of the quick tips and tricks that you can do in sales. But I think the conversations that we bring to the table are more around getting people to really reflect and think about their way of selling.
That's right.
But yeah, I guess in terms of memories, I think one of my favorite memories from back in the day, and actually we should kind of bring back because it's been a while. I remember when we had the podcast studio set up in this very room, and you were doing a lot of virtual remote podcast episodes, and then you started to have this distinct look about yourself with the microphone in front of you and the infamous headphones. Do you remember those?
I do. Yeah, they kind of dwarfed me.
Of course.
I think you intentionally made out or chose the headphones to make me look, particularly. I don't know. What's the word?
Great, amazing.
Great? No, I wouldn't use that word. I'd say, slightly ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely not. No, of course not. We were trying to give you a distinct look. I am in marketing after all. We're trying to make distinctive brand assets. I feel like the headphones were kind of your core brand
part
asset.
of that. Yes, I remember joking with you about the headsets. Yeah, that's true. I've forgotten about that. Actually.
Yeah, honestly.
Why don't we use them now then?
I think you just decided to stop wearing them one day, and I never picked you up on it. So maybe I'll pick up on that again.
Well, the quality of the sound, I think, has been pretty okay.
Yeah. No, of course.
Perhaps we don't need it.
Maybe I'll try and convince you again.
Okay, well.
So I guess obviously getting to 200 episodes is quite a big achievement. Do you remember any kind of specific challenges with starting out with the podcast, or or anything like that?
I think it was reasonably easy for us to do, partly because we have a continuous supply, so to speak, of practitioners who've done fantastic research-based projects. Let alone the broader network of people that we meet, that we invite to come and join these sessions. So, for me, it was a question of sort of doing as much as we could that wouldn't disrupt the everyday sort of running of the business. And so I don't know whether there were any particular challenges. I mean, technology has worked pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, to some extent. I remember the early years were quite a challenge trying to get everything together, but once we got that sorted, it was plain sailing. I thought. Yeah.
So I don't see that there'd been too many sort of. It was a relatively easy thing. To get going. I'd say.
Good.
Yeah. Obviously, very good planning on behalf of marketing.
Oh, I'll take that. I'm sure George and I will be very happy with that.
I think George has added a very interesting dimension, because I think George's voice is so much better than anyone else's. So
just get him on the podcast more, eh?
I think the ones where he's introducing the podcast are, has a certain gravity in his voice.
I agree. I was pleasantly surprised on my way to work, and I heard George's voice beam out an introduction. So we should get George on the podcast more.
We should. I think it tends to be the GST type podcasts that George kind of introduces. Yeah, and for two different types of music as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously, since 2020. We've been running the podcast for a number of years now.
Yeah.
How do you think the show has changed in that duration of time?
God, that's an interesting one. I'm not sure it's changed a huge amount. Maybe it has. I mean, what do you think it has? I mean, the topics have changed.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I mean, the themes have changed, and it's quite interesting that I decided to start writing a sort of learning journal again after too many years, to be honest. And what I've noticed as we reflect back over the 200 episodes is that it is a kind of learning journal.
Yes.
In the way that we're capturing events in the context of often things that are happening around the world. I mean, we mentioned the pandemic, and of course, we talked about resilience, we talk about technology and AI and all these things, and so you're sort of tracking, sometimes fairly seismic things that are happening in the marketplace as we are delivering the sales podcast series. So looking back on it, it's interesting how. The pandemic's interesting, isn't it? Because we'd kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Yet it's had such a profound impact on the world, but we sort of moved on. We don't remember how challenging it was at the time, and how, I don't know, it's disorientating it was at the time for so many people at a personal level, at a company level. I mean, it's quite extraordinary what we've been through. But now we've moved on. It's now AI very much in the form. Of course, we've got the war situation in Iran, which we haven't really sort of talked about that on any of the podcasts. But it's just interesting how the world moves on at faster and faster rates.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the podcast itself hasn't really changed. We still try and bring to the platform really engaging conversations and thought-provoking topics. But I guess, the themes definitely have changed throughout the years, like you say, from pandemic to AI, and who knows what's in store for the future, right? Yeah. But have there been any kind of favorite episodes that stand out to you at all?
I mean, this is very difficult. I know we get asked this about, at the end of each year, you say, what's been your favorite one? And it's so difficult because each podcast actually has so much value in itself. And I enjoy going back to earlier episodes of podcasts to remind myself of some of the insights that each one of them actually provide. But I did really enjoy the resilience series that we had at the very beginning, and to have Sir Graham Lamb join us on was it episode 3?
I believe it was episode 3. Yep.
Yeah, was a great coup, so to speak, if one could use that word. He had spoken at our GST event some years before, and so I knew that he would be a fabulous speaker. And Graham comes across as someone who is very laid back and sort of very cool and seemingly unstructured, but the preparation he put into that podcast, the conversations we had before it was delivered, just showed how thorough his thinking was. And I remember him saying at one of at the GST event that he quoted, was it Einstein's comment about, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 50 minutes or 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes coming up with a solution. And I could actually see that in a way, him living that kind of thought process as he prepared for that first one of the first episodes that we ran. So yeah, it was really good. And he has this amazing ability to pick out quotes or ideas, and he little things like, what's the difference between a crisis and a problem? And because when you're talking about sort of being resilient, part of the part of the art of being resilient is defining what the problem is. And he said very casually, he said, I've only found myself in a minefield twice. Yeah. And he used that to illustrate the sort of concept of, you need to know you're in a minefield to know that you're in a crisis. If you don't spot where you are, you've got a big problem on your hand. And so his ability to connect, because he used to be the director of the SAS forces as well, and he was one of the team that funnily enough, actually, took over the Iranian embassy in London. Funny, isn't it? I hadn't made the connection. It was in South Kensington. Do you remember there were some sort of hostages taken there, and the SAS went in, and he was one of the SAS team actually going in to try and free the inmates. So isn't it funny that we're now still talking about Iran today? I hadn't really sort of made that connection.
Wow.
But yeah. So yes, he's able to sort of interweave the kind of situations that he's been in, with his philosophy of life. And I think one of the quotes that he sort of came up with that also was I think was quite interesting is that when you go into a situation which could be a kind of crisis, and all the orders that you were given were to a set of circumstances which you found were to be the case when you went in. His advice were to execute the orders that you should have been given at the time. So he was kind of saying that, yes, all the preparation that you can do in advance of solving a particular problem is great, but you're also looking from your team members for the kind of agility to be able to create their own set of orders based on the situation that they found themselves to be in. And he made that connection very much, based back to the values and belief systems, because so much of the training in the special forces was around having the right mindset and the right mental toughness to be able to deal with all sorts of different situations. So so he was. It was very interesting, sort of having him on, and then you had, in contrasting, to that, you had Carol Pemberton, who who came at the topic of resilience from a completely different perspective, from a coaching perspective. And, Carol's journey, her personal journey actually as a coach was fascinating, where she talked about coaching one particular individual who is a high-flying executive, and he was a Cambridge Blue, I think, and top scholar and top of his company, promoted into very senior positions very early, and then reaching burnout. And she talked about the sort of alpha orientation that so many of these executives have. And she was coaching this particular this particular individual, and he had to take time off through to mental stress. Pardon me. And she saw this as a fault of her own coaching style, that she wasn't able to deal with this topic of resilience. And so she did her PhD around the topic of resilience in coaching. And she talked a lot about humility and the importance of sort of humility as being a sort of component of resilience, in the sense of being able to accept, things as they are and not as you'd hope them to be. And it was, led into support systems and love and other highly emotional intelligence kind of topics, which was very different to Graham Lamb. So you had the topic of resilience covered in sort of two very different ways. Then you had Baz Gray, who talked about Shackleton, which, of course, the Shackleton story, Baz as being a sergeant major in the Royal Marines, and an Arctic explorer himself, actually more sharing Shackleton's story than his own story. And, and talked about resilience and teamwork and leading by example. So those three early stage episodes we did, I think, are priceless. I think we should, in the show notes, direct the listeners to those if they're, because resilience is required as much now as it was then.
Yes. Exactly. Such an important topic, and of course we'll pop the link in the show notes as well. But I mean, it's been so great to have a different selection of guests, like you say. You got your Graham Lambs and Baz Grays and Carol Pembertons. And what we've actually done is we've got a few video messages to show you from some of your past guests. Congratulating you on reaching the 200 milestone.
You're kidding?
Yeah. So let me just grab this for you here.
Oh my goodness me.
Okay. Who's first? Recognize this
I
chap?
do. Fred.
Hey, Phil, this is Fred Diamond from the Institute for Effective Professional Selling and the award-winning Sales Game Changers podcast. Congratulations on episode 200. That's quite an achievement. I've done over 850 Sales Game Changers podcasts, so I know that the work and the commitment that goes into it and all the fun and rewards that come with it. So it was great meeting you. You introduced us to some of your clients at SAP and Royal Caribbean, and it was great to get to know them. And I really just want to acknowledge the work that you're doing, like us, to help move the sales profession forward. So again, congratulations Fred Diamond from Washington, D.C., wishing you best of luck and congratulations on 200 episodes.
Wow, that's a surprise.
Yeah, so that's good old Fred. Second, we've got recognize.
Phil.
Phil Sterland, CEO of the Summit Group, congratulating you on the big 200 of podcasts. May you continue to influence others for the grander good of the profession of selling. And I hope that you influence them like you influence me. Well done, my friend. Keep up the great work.
Oh, it's been a great partnership with Phil over the years, and one of the few PhDers now in sales.
Yes,
so yeah,
exactly.
that's great. Thank you, Phil.
Third, we've got good friend of Consalia.
Of course, yeah. God.
Congratulations, Phil, and everyone at Consalia for reaching this milestone of 200 episodes. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, you think back about what you've achieved at Consalia for the last 15 or so years, being really the first mover, a pathfinder for anything sales transformation related. 200 episodes ago when you started this podcast, again, I think there weren't many sales podcasts around, and now look, so pathfinder yet again. Congratulations, and here's to the next 200. All the best, everyone.
Fantastic. Another PhDer actually there in Ryan.
Right? We're just bringing the big hitters
So
here.
bringing the big hitters. That's so nice.
And then, of course, we couldn't have not invited our next guest,
Oh my goodness.
Mr. Grant.
Hi there. I'm Dr. Grant Van Albrecht, CEO of Scared So What, and I want to extend a very heartfelt congratulations to you, Dr. Phil, and to the Consalia team for 200 episodes of the Sales Transformation Podcast. Of course, I'm very biased. It has been great to be on the show with you as well, too. When to talk about change management within sales teams and how we actually look as sales as a change initiation and instigation moment. And if we can teach people how to manage change for themselves, then we can really, truly transform business for our customers. You've had so many great episodes, so much learning, so much content, and much of it came from the Sales Masters program and all of the consulting and the support that you give to the sales community. I thank you so much for your vision and your mission to professionalize sales, and just really congratulations. It's heartfelt, and it goes out to you and to the entire team. Well done. Here's to 200 more.
Wow, that's amazing.
So the message I'm getting here is actually we need to do another 200 episodes.
200. Okay.
But yeah, just a few messages from a few key guests, and just I'm sure you know some of these stats already. We've since the start of the Sales Transformation podcast, we've had around 14,000 total downloads. Your most downloaded episode was episode 73, Transforming Your Company with the Strategic Narrative with Andy Raskin.
Yeah.
And of course, other top episodes. The first 10 were always going to be compounding in terms of downloads. Well,
that's right, because they've been around for so much longer.
Exactly. And another 3 that were quite up there. Episode 53, the transformation of the Chief Operating Officer role with Kathy Ward. Episode 138, how the right mindset can inspire both your selling and your career with Jeffrey Hatchell. And episode 91, winning large complex deals trilogy, part 1, how to increase your win rates to 84% with David Mines.
Yeah.
Any kind of memories from those episodes at all?
Well, there've been so many, and it's great. It's great to go over the back catalogue, isn't it? And just kind of remind yourself of the episodes that were run. And I was really interested in the most downloaded because I think that was one of your suggestions, wasn't it? That we should
Yes.
have Andy
Raskin
on the show, and he was really interesting because he was a script writer by profession before he went into the whole area of storytelling.
Of course.
So what made you invite him?
I think he was quite well known within the sales and marketing space, particularly for his work that he did on the strategic narrative. He's got this infamous blog article called "The World's Greatest Sales Deck," and just from that name itself, I thought, hang on, this has got to be interesting. And of course, I would be biased because I love the whole marketing angle to it, but I think a lot of what salespeople do effectively, the ones that are in the top 10%, are their ability to tell great stories, right? And I thought that would be such a transformational thing for salespeople to do. And I thought, well, let's interview him about it and let's get to the bottom of it, why it's so important. So, like you, I was surprised that it was the most downloaded episode. But let's see what else is going to happen in the next couple of years with the other episodes that we've had on.
I was pleasantly surprised to hear about Andy's being the most downloaded. And I think what was interesting about Andy's podcast was the angle that he was coming at this notion of creating, the greatest sales deck. And some of his terminology was interesting because he spoke about concepts of the arrogant doctor. And one of the concepts of the arrogant doctor was that in most sales decks, you start with the, this is how great we are. This is how, this is our background. This is our history. These are our clients. And he talked about flipping the problem around, and that where actually you don't start with the I at all. You start with the the customer. And his concepts are very close to something that we refer to as third box thinking.
Yes.
And we spoke about that. This is coming from Phil Sterland that we heard earlier. Thank you, Phil. And sort of, the importance of starting with the customer's customer and then sort of working back. And his also, one of his key concepts was about hooking a buyer by pitching a shift in the world. And that in the creation of a strategic narrative about what it is you do, you need to approach it from, I guess it's Simon Sinek's why, but why at a something that's so significant, shifting that if you don't listen to this, you're going to kind of lose out. And I think in the way that we have been pitching a shift in the world, in the sense that we talk about, what is the difference between sales training and sales education? And it's been the hook, if you like, that we have decided to focus on because we believe it's right. And so there was a lot about Andy's conversation that resonated incredibly closely to what we were doing here.
Yeah.
And so I'm really pleased that that's come out so strongly.
Yes. No, I think like you say, it was quite relatable, everything that he was talking about within the strategic narrative and what we were trying to do, and start talking and promoting this category of sales education, because it's not wildly spoken about, really, is it? I think our first episode actually was the difference between sales training and sales education.
It was,
itself, wasn't it?
The very first one was.
Yeah.
So we started off with the what is the why of what we're doing.
Exactly.
It's just really there's so much wisdom I think you get from listening to other people. You only need one trigger, one idea to set off a train of thought, and it's been worth the hour it might have taken you to listen, to that particular episode. So no,
exactly. And I think when it comes to looking at some more of the stats around the podcast, it's reached quite a number of different countries. So just reading off the top 10 list, UK, United States, Russia, which is third.
I was really interested about Russia.
Quite strange. Spain, Singapore, Germany, Netherlands, France, and Australia. So it just goes to show, you know, although we're producing the podcast in the UK, where our message is reaching a ton of different people in different countries, and that's just the top 10.
Yeah.
But as part of the preparation for this special episode, I know that you've been playing around with AI and the whole kind of analysis
Yes.
of transcripts. Is there anything that's kind of stood out to you throughout the whole kind of analysis of the different themes that we've been speaking about? Anything in particular?
On the topic of AI, I have to say that it's I've gone through different sort of phases to approaching the topic of AI. When I suppose at the beginning of last year, when it really started to sort of come to the fore, I think everyone was rather sort of overwhelmed with the with the promise of what AI could actually bring, and that we felt if we didn't catch up with it immediately, we're going to sort of fall behind and lose market share, and also this sort of whole concept about artificial intelligence taking over so many of the basic functions of what we can do in our work, and where would that leave us as human beings? As kind of, it felt slightly, I used the term before, dystopian in a way. I just felt kind of what is our role in life going to be if what they say is going to be true, that artificial intelligence can replicate almost everything that human beings can do. And so it's kind of gone through that sort of, my goodness, yes, this is a huge change, a huge shift into, I think, what's now become a more pragmatic and a more realistic and calmer, I would say, space to be, where we're beginning to see its potential, but we can also see where we can have an opportunity to add, the human dimension to it. And yeah, I'm so excited by it. Like I said to you the other day, I think about it all the time, because we've done this recent global research project, the state of the sales mindsets, and that in itself has been part of the sales transformation broadcast. But it's interesting how sometimes a word can trigger something significant. And as I've just said that, there is a podcast also that we've run with Dr. Liz Stoko from the London School of Economics. And she talks about how single words can be the difference between life or death. And she talks about things like the difference between using the word talk and using the word speak, and how they can have an impact on whether someone will open up or not. But yeah, so what's so fascinating about the research is, first of all, it goes back to the roots of the doctorate, that I'd done all those years ago to check its relevance in the modern day context. And to a large extent, things have not changed that much from a values point of view. But the nuance that I think that somehow become to the fore, and I think it's such an important nuance that it's going to consume more of my thinking time in terms of how we move forward as individuals, as human beings in this world of artificial intelligence. And that word of intellectual surfaced, and we've now, as listeners may know already, we've now sort of shifted the mindsets from the positive mindsets from authenticity to intellectual authenticity, client centricity, proactive creativity, tactful audacity staying the same. And I've been thinking about this word intellectual a lot, and thinking about what does that really mean, and I'm beginning to think that it comes down to three things. One is the integration of different information sources. So the ability to be able to integrate different data sources. So that's a link with data. And then you've got intuition, instinct, not an instinct. And it's quite interesting, that word instinct, because what is it that, we could take this word intellectual. There was something that leapt out of the interviews that made me think that this one word said by two people on two different interviews was something that needed more airtime. So is that instinct that says, I don't know how the brain is kind of processing these things.
Yeah.
And so you've got the instinct that there's something needs to be looked at. You've got this integration of different data sources. So you've got an instinct. I think there's something we need to explore here. You've then got, let's go out and think about it, play around with it. So you're doing more research on it. So you're getting sources from different data, going back to the interviews, looking at, are there any different data sources that can support this word intellectual without them having used the word, for example? And then you've got imagination. So you've got instinct, which is, I think there's some, so this is linked to this concept of intellectual authenticity. Instinct is important. The ability to integrate different data sources, synthesizing information, is important. And then imagination, which is, where do you go with an idea once it starts to surface? Yeah. And so I think that the first two are more analytical in a way, and the third, imagination, is more, well, it's not the what, but it's the now what question. So when we start to look at this word intellectual authenticity, yes, of course, authenticity is about moral purpose and integrity and transparency, but the intellectual authenticity is putting this layer of the human element to the fore, and so what does the human element bring? It's instinct. It's integrating different data sources. So how you might prompt AI to help you, do research, but then it's the imagination. It's how do you then take this? So I think this is going to. I think it's growing. This word intellectual authenticity is growing, and I'm really excited by that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds exciting. This is the first time I've heard you talk about
I know it
these
is the
three
first
eyes.
time, because I mean, it is because it's occupying so much of my headspace at the moment. I'm thinking about how do we articulate what it is we mean by intellectual authenticity, and I would say you could break, authenticity we've got covered, but the intellectual side, what does that mean? Well, it's that curiosity that makes you think, and it's your instinct. It's your bringing together different data sources, looking for patterns, and then it's the imagination of taking it somewhere else. Yeah,
Amazing.
So I think it's. Yeah, I'm really excited by it, actually.
As am I. I feel like the next couple of 100 episodes are going to be all around intellectual authenticity, perhaps.
Yeah. It is, so interesting. Yeah,
No,
I'm sure
certainly.
there's something in the sort of great Greek philosophers or the Roman philosophers, that covered off some of this ground already. So probably we could look back in history and get some inspiration there as well. But
Yes.
haven't quite taken it to that stage yet. I think I will.
I'm sure you will. You will.
Yeah.
So I guess just to close up a little bit as we get to the end of the episode, you love a good curveball.
I love her case.
And now's my chance to give you the curveball. But it's a light-hearted curveball. I know we spoke earlier around some of like your favorite episodes and the most downloaded episodes as well. But if you were to think of one or two key episodes that essentially can explain to listeners how we think about sales, or can kind of explain the notion behind why we think so differently about sales. Are there any episodes that come to mind?
Well, I think we've got quite a number of episodes that talk about what drives sales performance, which covers off the questions around sort of values that are underpinning sales performance at so many different levels. Is there one in particular? Sometimes I find it easier to kind of respond to someone interviewing me, about the research. So I've really enjoyed, some of the interviews that Darren Mitchell has conducted. I've really enjoyed the Mike Lander interviews as well, because he comes at this from a procurement perspective.
Yes.
And Darren has come at it more from a sort of sales leadership perspective. But they've been sort of very engaging. Fred Diamond as well. I mean, it's not so. There's, and also there's
John Barrows.
John Barrows, right? Yeah. I mean, they've all been sort of great in different ways. I mean, Fred is fantastic because he's so passionate about professionalizing sales. So
right, of course.
Really, to find people on the other side of the Atlantic who's really pushing the same sort of ideas forward is incredible.
Yeah,
and he's such just a human person.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree
as well.
I agree. I think from my perspective, on the same topic of people interviewing you, I can't remember what episode it was now, and I'm sure we'll put it in the show notes, but where we interviewed you about your doctorate,
right,
all about the origins, because I think that's where this has all started. The mindsets, Consalia, but also most recently the GST talk that you did at the most recent event, talking about the State of Sales Mindsets report, and I think both them together kind of tell the story.
They do.
Where it originated from, and how it's evolved into this topic of intellectual authenticity that you were referring to just moments ago. So we'll put those in the show notes for sure. And so obviously with the Sales Transformation podcast itself, we have a series where we invite our master students to come on and talk about their dissertation and final year projects. What's been the kind of highlights for you, Phil, with the Mastercasts?
I've actually loved the Mastercast series as well. I'm not sure how many Mastercast episodes we've done in total, but it's a fantastic platform to show the original research that our students are conducting in the course of their work. And I think, of course, we have to recognise the quite extraordinary story of Grant and what he's achieved.
Of course. Yeah.
I remember when he first joined us on the master's program that we ran, and he'd not done anything academic in his life before, really, and my goodness, he took to the masters. He was a very fluent writer, very quick worker, and sort of his product that he built, really, and then the Scared So What product that he built as a consequence of the master is extraordinary. He was the first student we had that, let's say, what are his achievements? He's got a doctorate as well since the masters. He's written a book.
He has, yes.
And he's contributed to another as well. And of course, now he's a recognized global TEDx speaker and author. He's been on all sorts of sort of magazine covers as well. He's been extraordinary in that space. So, Grant is, we always thought that these master's projects would be a sort of an incubator of innovative ideas, and his is just one. His is one example, but we have many more. We have Varno's project on return on innovation as a concept. Again, it's very new. I think that we need to explore this topic in much more depth. I think Simon Quinton's kind of
course.
master's session around emotional intelligence and there's so many Nick Rose's on what he's done with the academic program at Sharp has been incredible. I mean, there are just so many instances of individuals who have flourished as a consequence of doing the master's sort of projects and programs, and many of course now have also achieved very senior positions in the companies with whom they work, or new employers as well. So yeah, I've loved the Mastercast series because it talks about their research, what influenced them, how they conducted their research. It's practice based, so it's not someone trying to promote a book. It's someone that who is a practitioner and has done serious research on a topic. So yeah, I've really enjoyed doing the Mastercast series as well.
Yes.
And you, of course. I love what you're doing, Eddie.
Oh, thank you, Phil.
Yeah, and your LinkedIn posts, how you come back to what you produce on your values framework for marketing.
I mean, the masters is such a journey, and to revisit the hard work that you do is always a treat. But I think it also gives people who are considering the masters an insight into the type of work that they might be able to do themselves. And I think that's what we're trying to do with the masters. The Mastercast. It's a great platform, like we were saying at the start, for people to flourish with their work. So
Brilliant.
Do you have any closing remarks, any key reflections, or even hopes for the future of the Sales Transformation Podcast?
Closing remarks. Well, of course, the sales podcast will continue, and it should continue. I think it's such an important channel for people to be able to sort of listen as they drive or travel to different places. It would be interesting for us to see the Sales Transformation Podcast recognized as, to win awards maybe. So
we're on it.
Are you on it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would take for us to get into that, to get that sort of recognition. I think that may help set the benchmark for what we need to do higher. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Well, here's to the next 100, 200, 500 episodes.
Well, I don't think I'll necessarily be doing them all, Eddie, because at some point, the big retirement question needs to come up.
Ooh, okay. Fair enough.
So I'm not sure I'll be here for the 400th.
Well, we've got to make it happen somehow. But nonetheless, I hope you've enjoyed the whole process of the podcast.
It's a very nice thought to get those people to say a few words.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, it was all George. Great idea.
Well done, George.
So yeah, we'll circle back. I'm sure on the 300th episode and see what change has been since then. But for now, thank you, Phil. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.